The Huntsman Winter's War is the prequel sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman, which came out in 2012, and I actually really liked that movie. I thought it was actually better than a lot of people said it was. I thought it was amazing and stuff, and I didn't think Kristen Stewart was that bad. This movie, because of the whole cheating scandalous thing Kristen Stewart had, now the main focus is on Chris Hemsworth's character of the Huntsman. And what this movie is about is Chris Hemsworth is taken as a very young boy, along with a couple others, especially one girl who's later played by Jessica Chastain, by Emily Blunt, who plays Freya the Ice Queen, who is the sister to Ravenna, played by Charlize Theron. Basically, she had her heart broken, so she decides to steal all these children from people, say, "You're my children, you are not allowed to love," and stuff. But guess what? Chris Hemsworth and Jessica Chastain, they fall in love, so they're banned. And then after their banishment, it cuts to a couple years later after the events of the first Snow White movie, and people are like, "Oh yeah, remember that mirror that Ravenna has that Snow White still has for some reason? Yeah, it's probably dangerous, we should get rid of it." So Chris Hemsworth teams up with a group of dwarves to try to take this mirror and get rid of it forever, while being pursued by a couple of dangerous things, including Freya. And guys, I was actually kind of looking forward to this movie because I really did enjoy the first movie, as I said, and I found out the director of this movie was a guy who did some of the CG, I think, on the first movie, so I thought if anyone could kind of know what this world is about, then maybe this guy will. Well, I was wrong. This movie's pretty bad in a lot of different ways. For one of them, I was really confused going into this movie. I thought it was going to be a prequel, like they marketed themselves as a prequel. Instead, the prequel aspect is only about 30 minutes, and then the actual sequel takes place. And that prequel stuff, man, it's filled with a lot of exposition, which narrated by Liam Neeson, which I had no idea about, and that was cool to hear his voice, but why did we need narration for this one part? We honestly didn't need it at all. It was explaining simple things. The only part where you may need narration, in my opinion, is maybe you wouldn't be able to get what was happening in the movie unless there was. This movie, there was no narration required. It's kind of obvious what's going on. I guess speaking of the story, this movie is kind of boring. Whenever they have an action scene going, it's okay, I guess. But whenever they're not, whenever they're having some downtime, it's actually kind of boring. Even through some of the action scenes, I was like, okay, just, can we wrap this up, like, now? I know it's only been, like, an hour, and you have, like, 50 minutes to go, but can we just end now? Because they have some CG in some of these action scenes, including one that's kind of hinted at in the trailer where it's in front of the mirror and this huge monster thing jumps in front of it. And at first that thing looked kind of cool until it started swinging around like a spider monkey. And then it was like, oh, okay, there's the obvious CG. And some of that obvious CG ruins some of the action scenes. And some of the action scenes aren't even really that well filmed, to be honest. And speaking of the CG, the ice that Freya uses looks pretty bad. Ravenna uses like these black ink thingies to kill people at one point. That looked bad too. And I can't say this is some of the worst CGI I've seen because there are some shots that actually did look kind of decent. But there's just a lot of moments where I was like, come on, that's not up to par to at least what the first Snow White movie was. Especially one moment where Freya is riding on the back of an ice bear. Polar bear doesn't look like a polar bear, but it's something ice bear related. It's bad. It looks pretty bad. And speaking of Emily Blunt, I like her as an actress. I think she's pretty good. In fact, I made a video when it was announced that, hey, they're making a sequel and Emily Blunt is cast as the Ice Queen. I was like, okay, I'm actually looking forward to it. Whoa. Here, she was really, really bad in this movie. A lot of people compare it to Eddie Redmayne to Jupiter Ascending, and while I can't say it's that bad, I can see where they're coming from. The majority of her performance is really just a bunch of whispers, like she's really kept to herself even though she could just latch out and be a really good villain. She's gonna keep reserved and whisper, and then a couple times she'll yell! And I'm not worried about Emily Blunt at all because the trailer, The Girl on the Train, recently came out, a new movie that she's in, and she seems really good in it, so this is just a bad performance that she's in. This is not a new thing for Emily Blunt. This is just a bad performance. That happens every once in a while. Oh, and hey, Charlize Theron, also not very good. Remember how in the first Snow White, she was actually my favorite part of it. I thought she was terrific as the evil queen. And now we're here, and her performance is really just, you can really tell she doesn't really care all that much. Like, there's a pretty good moment at the beginning where she's playing chess with an old guy, you know, kind of being seductive, and then she does something pretty evil, and that was a pretty good moment. However, the rest of her performance is just not caring. And I was really bummed out because I thought she was terrific in the first movie, and now she just doesn't give a crap while doing this one. That's pretty sad. However, I did like Chris Hemsworth in the movie. I thought he still did a good job playing the Huntsman character, very likable. He smiles way too much, though. And even Jessica Chastain, I like Jessica Chastain as an actress. I thought she was also pretty awesome in this movie, and I think she and Hemsworth together, I thought they had some pretty good chemistry. In fact, if they just had these two characters in a different movie instead of this one that was actually good, then I think I would have liked them even more. And I even like Chris Hemsworth's camaraderie with two dwarves, one of them played by Nick Frost. Of course, they don't have all of them back, and I thought they were pretty good. Even when they introduced some female dwarves, I was like, oh, no, don't do this, man. Don't do the thing where it's like they hate each other and then they're gonna fall in love, because guess what? The message is, love conquers all. But you know what, they were fine. The dwarves were fine. There were some things that I did like about this movie. However, for the most part, it's not very good. The action scenes weren't really well filmed. I wasn't really entertained throughout this movie at all, and I can't even really recommend the movie for its visuals because those aren't even that impressive. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give The Huntsman Winter's War a D+. I actually really did want to like this movie. However, they just didn't make a good movie. But if you saw The Huntsman Winter's War, leave in the comments below of what you thought of it. I just wanted to say this video would have been up like yesterday or Friday, but I've been staying at school because of theater stuff, and I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. For the next 2 weeks, 3 I think, I'm gonna be pretty busy in theater, and I know Civil War is coming out on May 6th, but May 6th just so happens to be opening night of the play the theater company that I'm involved with at school is doing. So guess what? Late reviews are gonna happen. Late videos are gonna happen. I'm very sorry. Also, final tests and stuff for wrapping up end of the year are gonna be happening soon. Some late videos are gonna come out. I just wanted to remind you that my life is going to be kind of busy, and there will be some late videos throughout the next couple weeks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.